Hi, welcome to Quite Clever Quilting. Today we're going to be talking about pressing matters. Today we're going to be talking about three different things. The first is pressing to the dark side, and then we're going to be talking about keeping it straight, and the third thing is pressing with the bias. So let's start with pressing to the dark side. So if we have two fabrics that I've already sewn them together, a light side and a dark side. So what I'm going to do is just take my best press, lightly mist it, and then just literally press. You don't need to iron it back and forth real hard, just lightly press it. Now I'm going to lift and finger press. So once you've done that, now you can go back and lightly press. So all of the fabric is going towards the dark side of the fabric. Like that. So let's say that that's great, but we want to put two 4 patches together. So I'm just going to move this up, and I'm going to make these 2.5 inches wide. So I just measure and cut 2.5 inches. Here's my first one, and my second one. Put right sides together. So I just wiggle it together so they snuggle together. Now I want to stitch it so this flap is going into the sewing machine with a 1/4 inch seam. Now I know once you get this done, you'll say, well, I thought you said press to the dark side. Yes, if that's the choice. But sometimes it's more important to have a good press than pressing to the correct side. So as you can see, we have sewn it, but when I go to press it, which side do I press on? It's easy. We can still press to the dark side by pulling these two apart. I'm just going to lightly spray it. I like to iron on the top because that's the side I'm going to see. But I can easily feel where those seams are, and I gently press it down. So there's a good press. So let's look at keeping it straight. I've gone ahead and sewn a 1/4 inch seam on this, and since it's really not one side's dark or not dark, it doesn't really matter which side I'm going to be sewing it to. So what my little trick of the trade is, I take my board and I've drawn a straight line on it. That way I know that this is going to be straight when I put it down and I start ironing it. I don't have to worry about any craziness. So I put it on the line. I do a light spray with my best press. I'm going to finger press this open, being mindful of that line. And then I just press. And that keeps the line nice and straight for me instead of having it go big S curve. So there you have it, nice and straight. So let's look at the third pressing matter. This is going to be sewing, cutting on the bias. So I've gone ahead and stitched around. This is a very popular pattern where people sew all 4 sides and then they just cut it on the diagonal twice and they're happy. They can keep moving on their quilt. But before I cut, I go ahead and take my best press and I'm going to press both sides very well. The reason why I do this is I want to stabilize the fibers. Just makes them a little stiffer and easier to work with. I kind of think of it as they're remembering where to stay. So once I have that nice and pressed, I'm going to move my ironing board out of the way and I'm going to cut on the diagonal. As you can see, I've lined it up point to point, corner to corner, and I go ahead and slice. Without moving my square, I line up the other diagonal and I cut. Now I can move these. Cutting board reappears. And I'm considering this the darker side than this side. So I'm going to put this side up. I can line it up on my little line that I have here. I gently press this back. A little best press. Now I can iron it. I'm not pushing it away or pushing it towards me. I'm only pressing on the line. Look how nice that is. Woohoo! Love it. So let's see it again. Dark side, down. Finger press, open. I don't want to use my iron and iron it up. I want to finger press it first, just to gently remind the fabric which way we're going. A little best press. And then I can just press it flat. It's important this step in ironing to get your pieces flat and looking nice. It gives it an overall beautiful look to your quilt. And there we have it. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll be looking for you next time on Quite Clever Quilting for another adventure in quilting.